I know a lot of you are on the web, on Twitter, on Facebook, on blogs. And I know Josh, if you wouldn't mind talking about the Unknown Soldier webpage, where you put extras, sort of DVD extras.
Right, yeah. I should mention for this that, so I took a research trip to the low-impact guerrilla war zone on the Ugandan-Sudan border. I was there for a month. So I took 1,400 photographs. I interviewed literally hundreds of people in various roles involved in the conflict: religious leaders, political leaders, soldiers on both sides, child soldiers. So I threw a lot of this material, not even remotely all of it, but a lot of this research material up on a website, and I don't know that it helped sales, but it certainly legitimized the book, and it got us the attention of a lot of NGOs and nonprofits who were involved in the conflict. And at one point, this isn't the case anymore, but at one point during Operation Lightning Thunder, which happened in December on the Congo border, I know all of you guys are up on your East African politics, at one point during this military movement, we had an Acholi nonprofit group contact us and say that we had more information, that they were getting information from our comic book website, because we knew when troops were being, Ugandan defense troops were being pulled out of Congo, and they didn't. So, I mean, those people did not buy any comics, but more than just kind of making me feel like I have value in this universe. I think it did a lot to legitimize us, and I think it went a long way in getting us eventually the larger attention from, you know, New York Times and BBC and things like that, Africa Report. But I don't know that I'm actually generating with this web presence readership. I think what I'm doing more is I'm creating loyalty in the readers I already have, because if they come to the site and I interact with them and I engage with them, I think I'm making some kind of social pact with them that they have to continue to feed me.
So you're actively engaging with the readers, which is one way you could go.
Right, absolutely. And you know, this medium is, comics is one of the few mediums that really does allow for that, actually, you know. And I know years ago I actually had Mark Waid tell me never to go on the web.
That's right.
And now Mark is on the web.
I have a question for you about it. Can you talk about describing the internet as the xenophone, please?
Exactly. So, yes, Grant Morris and I were sitting around years ago and talking about all the wonders in Superman's Fortress of Solitude and how bizarre some of them are. And one of Grant's favorites was that Superman has the Phantom Zone, where he imprisons all the criminals who hate him and all the people who rail against him in anger. And he has a thing called the Zonophone, which he uses to explore that and listen to them and listen to what they have to say. And Grant says, "Who would want that in their house?" I said, "It's called the internet." We all have it.
But you now have a blog.
I know. I know. Under duress. It's just.
How has that helped or hindered or?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I think it's helped only in that it does allow you to link to places where you can get the comics on the web, or you can download stuff, or you can, you know, just if I piggyback, say, on John Rogers' site, where it's an audience that's not as familiar with comics, and they can come to me, and then we can send them out to the Boom site to find more books. That's good. It's still a very primitive system, though, because the big problem with comics is that getting them is a pain in the ass. Is that getting a printed comic is still, it's a destination. It's like going to a Hallmark store. You have to know where you're going to go. You can't just find them anywhere. And we're in that transition period now where we're moving stuff onto the web, we being the whole medium. And that's great. It's going to be a whole new medium when it's done and we figure it out. But at least it'll be available to everybody. And I think that's where the real synergy of your web presence and the medium will really start to come together. Because right now we're still promoting something on the world's most the world's most accessible medium, and we're using that to promote something that you have to drive 25 miles to find if you're lucky.
It takes so much work, having a web presence. It's really, you know, writers, I mean, I traditionally just want to write. That's all I want to do.
It takes time. I mean, it really takes. I personally have never even written a journal as a person, because anything that takes time away from the creative end of it, it just feels like it's robbing from me. And so it's exactly. So it's hard to, but I understand the need for a web presence. I'll tell you all a secret. This is why you're all my Facebook friends. friends is not because I really love you. It's because you're all marketing.
My web presence started because of the lost web presence, and it actually, unlike you guys, it actually, I feel that my creative work actually takes away from my web presence. I'd rather just be a web presence and actually work. I love writing my blog, and I haven't done it in about 2 years because I've had to work, and it really doesn't grow out of. It's not that I don't use it to market. Obviously, I do, and I do perceive every one of my Facebook friends as a possible consumer of a middleman comic book if they were in print. And it really grew out very naturally out of when we had Lost and there was a posting board and people would go on the posting board, and I didn't want to have lunch in the writers' room because I spent the other 14 hours of my day with those people, and they were lovely, but it's a lot of time, so I'd go in my office and log myself in and go on the Lost posting board and talk to the fans, and since I am a fan and a nerd and all that, they were my people anyway, so really it was no different from anything I'd normally do. And it turns out that's transmedia and that's having a web presence, and I'm like, good, because I'd normally do this anyway, so that's sort of that for me,
Mike, how much do you interact with fans online?
Other than Facebook, where I say what I'm watching on TV while I'm drawing, about the only thing I say on Facebook, because I don't do anything. I wake up and I go to work, and then the only variable is, is it before 5, so I'm not having a glass of water? And what am I watching on TV? That's really it. There's no reason for me to do a blog or anything because I don't do anything except work. So I don't do that. There's a Hellway website that I don't go on. I wouldn't know how to go on it. And it's the last place I really want to go because it's just guys arguing about a lot of insane minutia and complaining about how I've sold out or I used to be good or whatever it is. So I don't need that. I got enough of that inside my head. So yeah, you don't need the voice that confirm your words.
No Zono voting.
So there is Dark Horse keeps a web presence for that stuff, and I see value in all of it. But I got a full-time job just trying to do the stuff I'm trying to do.